The Federal Open Market Committee will publish its economic forecast and meeting minutes from September. So to talk a little bit more about what all of that means is Rick Newman. He's a senior columnist for Yahoo Finance, and he's also the author of the book Rebounders, How Winners Pivot from Setback to Success. So listen, it's good to talk to you because you always simplify everything for me. So what can we expect to learn from this report? I just sort of Google exactly what they did. So I got a little bit of information, but why should viewers care?
This is going to tell us a little bit more about what the decision makers at the Federal Reserve talked about at their meeting in September. Now, we already know a lot from that meeting. They did raise interest rates by 0.75 of a percentage point, and the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, he did a press conference explaining a lot of the Fed's thinking. But what's released today are the minutes of the meeting. In other words, notes from what the actual discussions were. And I think what investors are going to be looking for is there any sign that these decision makers thought inflation is going to be worse than expected or better than expected? It's all about inflation at this point. So traders are looking for any signals they can find about what the Fed might be doing in the future. Their next meeting is during the first week of November, and the market expectation is they will once again raise interest rates by 0.75 of a percentage point. So what everybody's going to be looking for in the minutes released today, any sign that they might do something a little more timid, such as a 0.5 point rate hike rather than 0.75. That's basically what everybody's going to be looking for today.
All right. Well, President Biden was on CNN last night. He was actually asked about the possibility of a recession. Here's what he said.
There's no guarantee that there's going to be I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession. That is, we'll move down slightly. Look, think about what's happened. We have done more. We're in a better position than any other major country in the world, economically and politically.
So that's the ideal situation, right? Recession with a small r, recession light. But, based on some of the stuff that you have observed, people you've spoken to, what's your take on what the president says?
Well, he's right about the fact that the United States is in a better position than just about any other country in the world in terms of energy prices. They are high here, but they're a lot higher in other countries. We have an extremely strong labor market. We have tons of jobs. But the reason that Biden's answering this question, and you can tell he's fudging there, he's not saying, no, our economy's doing great, there's no recession coming at all. The reason that he's fudging like that is that a lot of the forecasters now do think we're going to have a recession that might start at the end of this year or maybe at the beginning of next year. That has a lot to do with inflation. It has a lot to do with the Federal Reserve by raising interest rates. The Fed is trying to slow economic activity by raising interest rates, and it is working. So the question is, will the Fed slow economic activity just enough, or will it go a little bit overboard? And there's a considerable lag in the effects of the Fed's interest rate hiking. So you don't know the effects of those interest rate hikes until 4, 5, 6, or 8 months later. So there have been a lot of forecasters cutting their forecasts, saying we think growth is actually going to be very slow in 2023, or some of those forecasters are saying we think there is going to be a recession. And that could be what Biden's own economists in the White House think might be happening as well. So they're whispering in his ear and saying, yeah, the economy is going to slow down. We need to start preparing people for that.
Like it's going to be kind of bad or really bad. And we're hoping for just kind of bad. Rick Newman,
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure thing. See ya.